Greetings. I'm Dr. Pearl John and welcome to the Other 167. We continue our series on tough questions and tough answers. And today we focus on the question, how do I respond to a cancel culture? Galatians chapter 1 verses 10 onwards. Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. We live in a time where one wrong statement, one old tweet, or even one unpopular opinion can get you cancelled. Careers end, reputations crumble, and voices are silenced in a matter of hours. Cancel culture thrives on outrage, sometimes justified, but often merciless. So here's the question for us as followers of Christ. How do we live our faith out in a culture that's quick to cancel? Do we stay silent? Do we fight back? Or is there a better way, one that reflects Jesus? I'd like to unravel three pieces that we need to bear in mind as we contend with the cancel culture. 1. Fear of man versus fear of God. At the heart of cancel culture lies the fear of man. People ask, what will others think of me? Will I still be liked, be accepted, or approved? But Paul flips the script. In Galatians 1:10, he says, if his goal was to please people, he could not be a servant of Christ. That's a sobering thought. You cannot live for the applause of people and the approval of God at the same time. Think about Jesus. He spoke truth even when it cost him popularity. Crowds cheered him on the Palm Sunday, but demanded his crucifixion days later. Yet he stayed faithful to the Father's will. Here's the lesson. If we fear God more than we fear man, cancel culture loses its power over us. Secondly, grace over outrage. Cancel culture feeds on outrage, on the hunger to tear others down. But the gospel calls us to something radically different, grace. And John 1:14 describes Jesus as full of grace and truth. Not just truth, not just grace, but full of truth and grace. Imagine if God had cancelled us the first time we sinned, none of us would stand. But instead of cancellation, He offered us reconciliation through the cross. So when others fail or when we ourselves are targeted, we must choose grace over outrage. Instead of joining the mob, we forgive. Instead of tearing down, we build up. Instead of seeking revenge, we seek restoration. That doesn't mean we ignore sin or injustice, but it means we deal with it in a way that reflects Christ, not the world's cycle of attack and destroy. Thirdly, speaking up wisely. Now, does choosing grace mean we stay silent? Not at all. On the contrary, the scriptures calls us to speak truth, but to do it with wisdom. Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 1 reminds us, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. In a culture where everyone is shouting, whispering, wisdom often speaks the loudest. Here's the principle. Speak truth when it builds up, not when it tears down. Speak truth with humility, not arrogance. Speak the truth to honor God, not to win arguments. Sometimes the wisest response is to speak. Other times, the wisest response is to stay silent and let your life do the talking. Jesus did both. He spoke boldly when confronting hypocrisy, but he also stayed silent when accused unfairly before Pilate. Wisdom is knowing the difference. Let me pull this to a closing challenge. So how do we respond to cancel culture as Christians? Fear God more than man. Live for His approval, not the crowds. Choose grace over outrage. Remember that we've been forgiven much, so we forgive much. And speak truth wisely. Let your words and actions reflect Christ, not the culture and its anger. Here's the bottom line. Cancel culture wants to erase people, but Christ came to redeem people. The world cancels, but Jesus restores. And when we follow Him, we become carriers of truth and grace in a culture desperate for both. This is Pearl John signing off, the other 167. Thank you for watching. We continue our series next week. Until then, have a wonderful week ahead. God bless.